In the world of BTS, sometimes the biggest conversations do not begin with official announcements, airport appearances, or massive headlines. Sometimes they begin with a quiet rumor, a single sentence, a small possibility. And for many fans, especially longtime Jikook supporters, that is exactly what seems to be happening right now. Recently, conversations across fandom spaces began growing after whispers started circulating among fans about something deeply personal and unexpectedly heartwarming: the idea that after arriving in Busan, Jungkook may have been invited to share a dinner with Jimin's family. Now, before we go any further, it is important to make one thing very clear. There is currently no verified public evidence confirming that such a dinner actually happened. No official statement, no confirmed photos, no direct confirmation from BTS, HYBE, Jimin, Jungkook, or their families. At this point, this remains fan speculation and discussion, not confirmed fact. But if there is one thing longtime BTS fans understand, it is this: sometimes the emotions behind a conversation tell us just as much about the fandom as the rumor itself. Because the reason this story spread so quickly is not really about dinner, it is about history, it is about closeness, and perhaps most importantly, it is about the bond between two people fans have watched grow for over a decade. For many ARMY, especially Jikook fans, the thought of Jungkook sharing a quiet meal with Jimin's family does not feel random. It feels emotionally believable. Not because fans claim to know private details, but because over the years, BTS themselves have shown moments of trust, comfort, and family-like closeness that made many supporters feel deeply connected to their friendship. And when Busan becomes part of the conversation, the emotions become even stronger, because Busan is not just any city, it is home. Busan holds a special place in BTS history, especially for Jimin and Jungkook. Both were born there, both grew up there, both carried pieces of Busan with them long before the world knew their names, before sold-out stadiums, before global headlines, before becoming international superstars. There were simply two boys from Busan chasing impossible dreams. And fans have never forgotten that. For years, ARMY have affectionately called them the Busan Boys. The energy between them always felt different in a strangely comforting way: playful, familiar, warm, sometimes chaotic, sometimes competitive, sometimes unbelievably soft. Longtime viewers of BTS content probably remember how naturally Jimin and Jungkook gravitated toward one another during behind-the-scenes moments. Not dramatic, not forced, just familiar. The kind of closeness that often exists between people who have spent years growing up together under extraordinary circumstances. In documentaries, travel content, backstage footage, interviews, and live stream moments, fans repeatedly witnessed a dynamic that felt effortless, one teasing the other, one checking in quietly. Small gestures, tiny moments, the kind casual viewers might miss, but longtime fans noticed instantly. And perhaps that is why this recent Busan rumor struck such an emotional nerve. Because for many Jikook supporters, the conversation is not really, "Did dinner happen?" Instead, the question quietly becomes, could this kind of moment happen? And for many fans, the answer feels emotionally understandable. Again, not proven, but understandable. Because over the years, BTS members have spoken openly about how close they became, not only with one another, but sometimes with each other's families too. Living together for years changes people. Training together changes people. Growing up together changes people. BTS did not simply become coworkers, they became a family in many ways. That emotional closeness is something fans have seen repeatedly through real moments. There were years of shared dorms, late-night practices, exhausting schedules, moments of success, moments of fear. Moments when they relied on one another privately while the world only saw the performances. And in Jimin and Jungkook's case, fans especially watched a relationship evolve over time. Longtime ARMY often remember how different their dynamic looked during BTS's early years. Jimin often seemed incredibly caring toward Jungkook, protective even. Meanwhile, Jungkook often looked shy receiving attention, but naturally stayed close. As the years passed, something changed. The dynamic matured. The playful teasing stayed, but mutual comfort became more visible. Whether it was traveling together, laughing backstage, practicing late into the night, or simply existing comfortably in silence, fans noticed something that felt deeply genuine: trust. That word appears again and again whenever fans describe Jimin and Jungkook. Not because anyone knows their private life, but because trust is something people can sometimes observe in body language, in comfort, in familiarity. And BTS themselves have often spoken about their relationships in ways that reinforced how emotionally important they are to one another. Jimin once described Jungkook as someone precious. Jungkook, in different moments, has openly shown admiration for Jimin too, whether praising his work ethic, talent, or personality. Fans remember those moments, and they stay with people. So when speculation suddenly appears involving Busan, involving family, involving dinner, it naturally becomes emotional, because to many supporters, it feels symbolic, not dramatic, not scandalous, symbolic. A quiet image forms in people's minds: a warm dinner table, comfortable conversation, laughter, a moment away from cameras, no stadium lights, no pressure, no screaming crowds, just familiarity, just comfort. And maybe that image itself explains why so many people reacted so strongly online. Because after years of watching BTS carry enormous pressure, fans sometimes treasure the smallest possibilities of peace, especially for Jimin and Jungkook. Both have endured intense schedules since adolescence. Both spent their youth growing up in front of millions. Both sacrificed privacy in ways few people truly understand. So naturally, fans often feel emotional imagining moments where they can simply be normal. Normal enough to eat dinner, normal enough to visit home, normal enough to spend quiet time around trusted people. And perhaps that's where this story becomes meaningful, even without confirmation. Not because fans are trying to invade privacy, at least ideally, that should never be the goal, but because people care deeply. Sometimes too deeply, and in fandom culture, care often turns ordinary possibilities into emotional discussions. Still, there is an important balance worth remembering. As exciting as speculation may feel, respecting boundaries matters. If private family moments ever happen, those moments belong to the people involved. And many fans have actually expressed this beautifully online. If they spent time together privately, we are happy for them, even if we never know. That kind of maturity says something important about the fandom. Sometimes support means celebrating unseen happiness, not demanding proof, not chasing details, just wishing people comfort, especially when home enters the picture. Because Busan has always carried emotional meaning for Jimin and Jungkook. Fans still remember old stories, their accents slipping out more naturally when they're relaxed, the way they speak about hometown memories, the nostalgic feeling that seems to surface whenever Busan is mentioned. There is something grounding about returning home, even for global superstars. And maybe that's why the rumor hit differently, because if there's any place where things could simply feel warm and normal, it would probably be Busan. But there's another reason this conversation feels bigger than it first appears, and it has everything to do with the emotional evolution of Jimin and Jungkook's bond over the years. Because whether someone views them simply as close friends, chosen family, or something fans love interpreting in different ways, one thing has remained remarkably consistent. People genuinely care about their connection, and the story of how that connection changed over time, that may be exactly why emotions are running so high right now. To understand why one unverified dinner rumor suddenly became such a huge conversation among Jikook fans, we have to go backward, way backward, back to the beginning, before the sold-out stadiums, before worldwide fame, before records, awards, and historic achievements. Back to the years when 7 young trainees were simply trying to survive a dream that felt impossibly far away. For many longtime ARMY, one reason the connection between Jimin and Jungkook feels so emotionally significant is because fans didn't just witness a friendship, they witnessed growth. And growth is powerful to watch, especially when it happens publicly for over more than a decade. When BTS first debuted, fans often noticed a very particular dynamic between the two Busan boys. Jimin frequently appeared caring and attentive toward Jungkook, sometimes playful, sometimes affectionate, sometimes hilariously competitive. Meanwhile, Jungkook often carried his naturally reserved personality, quiet, observant, occasionally shy, especially during BTS's earlier years. Yet somehow, Jimin constantly seemed to pull reactions out of him: laughter, eye rolls, teasing, that familiar. Some see brotherhood, some see deep friendship, some enjoy romantic interpretations within fandom spaces. But regardless of perspective, many people agree on one thing: their connection feels real, and realness is rare, especially in celebrity culture. Maybe that is why fans became emotional over something as simple as dinner. Because sometimes dinner is not really about dinner. Sometimes it represents belonging, being welcomed, being trusted, being part of a safe space. And if there is one thing fans consistently wish for BTS members, especially people like Jimin and Jungkook who have given so much of themselves, it is peace, warmth, rest, and people who make them feel at home. Still, there is one important question many fans are quietly asking right now. If this rumor is unconfirmed, why did it spread so fast in the first place? The answer may reveal something fascinating about fandom culture itself, and strangely enough, it says just as much about ARMY as it does about Jikook. In modern fandom culture, stories move fast, really fast. A single post, one translated comment, a vague observation, an emotional interpretation, and suddenly thousands of people are talking about the same thing. That seems to be exactly what happened with recent conversations surrounding Busan, dinner, and speculation involving Jimin's family and Jungkook. Again, before going further, this distinction matters. No public evidence has verified the claim, no confirmed photos, no direct confirmation, no verified reporting. At this point, the discussion remains fandom speculation, but understanding why fans became so emotionally invested so quickly, that's actually fascinating, because this story reveals something bigger about the relationship between fans, memory, and emotional connection. To understand it, you first have to understand something important about BTS fandom culture. ARMY remembers everything. Not literally everything, of course, but emotionally, very close. Fans remember moments from years ago, tiny interactions, forgotten live stream comments, backstage clips, subtle gestures during concerts, a smile exchanged in the background of a chaotic video, a protective glance, a joke repeated years apart. To outsiders, it can seem surprising, but longtime BTS fans often build emotional timelines in their minds, especially when it comes to relationships between members. And in the case of Jimin and Jungkook, those timelines stretch back over a decade. That emotional history matters, because when a rumor appears, especially one involving something intimate or comforting, like a family dinner, fans rarely react to only that rumor itself. They react to everything they already associate with it: memories, patterns, feelings, the emotional archive they have quietly built over years. For many Jikook supporters, the imagined idea of Jungkook sitting comfortably with Jimin's family feels meaningful not because of sensationalism, but because it fits an emotional narrative they have followed for a long time. A story of closeness, growth, trust, comfort. Again, that doesn't mean fans know private realities. Nobody outside the people involved truly knows private relationships, and respecting that boundary matters. But emotional interpretation, that's part of fandom culture, always has been. In many ways, fandom is storytelling. People take real moments and create emotional meaning around them, sometimes beautifully, sometimes too intensely, sometimes in ways that accidentally blur the line between speculation and certainty. That line is especially important to talk about here, because one thing mature ARMY often emphasize is this: you can enjoy emotional interpretations while still respecting reality. Those two things can coexist. You can say, "This possibility feels sweet," without saying, "This definitely happened." And many longtime fans have become incredibly thoughtful about that distinction, especially after years of seeing misinformation spread online. What makes this Busan conversation interesting is that much of the reaction seems less focused on proving something and more focused on emotion. Across fandom spaces, many reactions sounded surprisingly gentle. People saying things like, "If true, that sounds really comforting. I hope they're resting well. Busan feels like healing." Notice something? Many fans are not demanding evidence. They're responding emotionally to an image. The image of safety, the image of familiarity, the image of home. And perhaps that says something deeply human, because no matter who someone is, idol or not, there's something universally touching about being welcomed into someone's safe space, especially after years of hardship. Fans know BTS's journey hasn't been easy. Behind the success came pressure. Behind the achievements came exhaustion. Behind the smiles often came sacrifice. For over a decade, BTS members carried expectations that would overwhelm most people. Public scrutiny, schedules across continents, constant visibility, very little privacy. So naturally, moments associated with rest or emotional comfort become meaningful to fans, especially when they involve familiar places like Busan, because Busan feels symbolic. To many supporters, Busan represents authenticity, a return to roots, the place where Jimin and Jungkook existed before celebrity transformed their lives, the city where they were simply young dreamers. There's something emotional about imagining global superstars returning to spaces that knew them before fame, spaces where expectations disappear, even briefly, where someone might simply ask, "Did you eat?" instead of "What's next?" And maybe that emotional simplicity is why fans connected so strongly with this story. But there's another fascinating layer to why this rumor spread so quickly, and strangely enough, it has everything to do with timing. Because right now, many fans are feeling especially nostalgic. The BTS chapter entering its newer era has created a wave of reflection throughout the fandom. People are revisiting old memories, watching older content, remembering how relationships evolved over time, looking back at moments that once felt ordinary but now feel precious. In times like these, emotional stories spread faster because fans are already feeling sentimental, already reflective, already emotionally open. And when Jimin and Jungkook become part of that conversation, the reaction becomes even bigger. Why? Because Jikook has always occupied a uniquely emotional place in BTS fandom, not only because of chemistry, but because fans witnessed genuine change over time. Two people growing up together, learning each other, supporting one another, teasing one another, comforting one another. Again, interpretations differ, but emotional investment remains. Even people who aren't specifically Jikook-focused often acknowledge one thing: there's visible affection there, visible trust, visible comfort. And perhaps that comfort is the true center of this conversation. Not romance, not rumors, comfort. The idea that after years of pressure, someone might still have a place where they can simply relax. A familiar dinner, a warm conversation, people who understand silence, no performance required. That image resonates far beyond fandom because everyone understands longing for home. Everyone understands wanting people who make life feel lighter. And if there's one thing fans consistently want for Jimin and Jungkook, it's probably something simple: peace, happiness, people who make life feel lighter. Whether that happens in stadiums full of thousands or quietly, somewhere far from cameras. Maybe that's the quiet beauty of the Busan Boy story. Not fame, not mystery, not speculation, just two people who grew up together, carried extraordinary pressure, and somehow still seem to share a familiar kind of comfort that fans continue to recognize years later. And perhaps that's why Jikook still resonates. Not because fans need answers, but because after all these years, the connection still feels meaningful. And sometimes, meaningful is enough. If there's one reason conversations around Jimin and Jungkook continue to resonate so deeply with fans, it's probably this. People are not reacting only to imagination, they're reacting to real memories, real moments, years of visible closeness that fans genuinely witnessed over time. Because long before rumors, edits, or theories existed, there were simply moments, small moments, funny moments, unexpectedly emotional moments. And for many fans, those moments quietly built the emotional foundation of what people now lovingly call Jikook. To understand why fans feel attached to their dynamic, it helps to remember something important. The connection people talk about today didn't appear overnight. It developed slowly, naturally, across years of shared experiences. And perhaps nowhere was that more visible than in the countless ordinary interactions fans almost missed, the kind that happened quietly in the background. One thing longtime ARMY often mention is comfort. There's a certain kind of ease people notice between Jimin and Jungkook. Again, people interpret that comfort differently: friendship, brotherhood, emotional closeness, playful chemistry. But the comfort itself, that has always felt visible. Fans often point to moments where they naturally gravitated towards each other during group activities. Not in dramatic ways, not attention-seeking, just subtle familiarity.